Welcome to the PWTorch Livecast. I am Wade Keller, editor and publisher of the Pro Wrestling Torch newsletter since 1987. That's before the internet. And also PWTorch.com since 1999, the PWTorch app since 2009, and also host of this, the PWTorch Livecast. I am here every week, Tuesdays and Fridays. Tuesdays I'm on with Jason Powell of ProWrestling.net to talk about Raw and other stuff. And Fridays is Interview Friday. The PWTorch Livecast is brought to you by Audible.com, a leading provider of spoken audio, information, and entertainment. Listen to audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. Get a free book when you sign up for a free trial at audibletrial.com/ProWrestlingTorch. That is audibletrial.com/ProWrestlingTorch. It is Friday, January 17th, 2014, and I am pleased to welcome today's guest, former, feel strange saying this, former TNA wrestler, current ROH main eventer, AJ Styles. AJ, welcome to the Livecast.
Thanks for having me, man.
It's great to have you on. I appreciate you taking time to be on the show. It had to feel kind of strange. Maybe not. Maybe you've moved on. But it had to feel kind of strange that last night TNA Impact is on, and it was the first episode and the first taping where you were not part of the company as far as a TV event goes. Did that run through your mind last night?
I guess, the thing that really was strange for me is seeing my friends putting over TNA, that still work there, and see it on, on Twitter and stuff like that. That was like, wow, it's weird not being there. Being a part of TNA, it's just odd. But, like you said, though, I've gotten kind of used to it now. Yeah,
it's been a while. And I'll ask this question first. Is this an elaborate work? Have you really re-signed with TNA? And are you going to be going back on television? Inevitably, it's already down on paper. It's already worked out sometime later this year.
Wouldn't that be an awesome story, though? Wouldn't that be really creative of TNA to do this elaborate, big thing where I finally do come back? How awesome would that be? But, there's a lot of cool stuff that TNA could have done, but they, this isn't one of them, okay? Let me put it that way. So I wish it were. That would been an awesome storyline.
Well, was there ever a time in the story? People have compared the storyline of you being disgruntled with TNA management with CM Punk from a couple years ago. And people thought, well, the Punk thing didn't work out because he didn't really go away. He complained, but then he came right back and wrestled John Cena a couple times. Didn't really sell the idea that he was that much of a rebel. Was there any point along the way that this storyline was, when it was conceived or playing out, that the thought pattern was, AJ's going to be very disgruntled with TNA, go away for a while, but then come back as part of an angle? Because the big talk the last couple of months is, was this a storyline that turned into a shoot?
Well, it wasn't. It was a storyline, and sure, tell me a person who isn't somewhat disgruntled with their job, when they think they can do a better job or whatnot. It's in everything. But it was a lot easier to cut some of these promos, and I think, you guys probably noticed that some of the stuff seemed more real than fake. So there is some truth to what I've said, and there was some truth, I guarantee you, to what Dixie said. Yeah. So it wasn't. It did. I guess it did turn into reality for me because I don't think either one of us, TNA nor I, expected me to leave. So I guess it did turn into reality.
Was there a point where you thought, I'll re-sign with TNA? That's inevitable. We always go through this, but eventually we work things out, and I'll be back. But the storyline, the way it plays out, to make it work, I'm going to go away for a while, work some indie shows to sell the idea I left TNA, and then come back. In other words, had you and TNA just worked things out quickly, or had a contract been renewed, do you think the storyline would have played out somewhat similarly to what we saw last week, where the management's against you, everything goes wrong, you go away for a while, and then you come back? In other words, does the fact that you did sign or did not re-sign with TNA, has that changed a lot of what we would have seen through last week, do you think?
Yeah. As far as I know, they wanted me to be in Huntsville.
Okay.
So it wouldn't have lasted as long as you would like, nor I. I mean, the storyline is different. It was very similar to what Punk did, but we actually went away for a while and was actually,
that's true,
doing something different. We're wrestling in Mexico and Japan, and But when things didn't work out the way we thought it was going to do, boom, we had to speed things up. I had to drop the title. That's just the way the game's played.
Yeah, I guess that's a better way to look at it. Is maybe last week would have been your triumphant return, and you would have won the title, and that would have been kind of the end of the storyline because you had been away for a while anyway. TV-wise,
right.
Yeah. That makes sense. So now you've signed with ROH. You got a lot of indie dates coming up. How does it feel negotiating on a date-by-date basis and dealing with a lot of new promoters and having a chance? Not that in TNA you didn't have a great variety of opponents. I think your body of work the last 12 years stands up to anybody in terms of quality of opponents and quality of matches. I mean, you and Samoa Joe, not being in WWE, have this diverse and just great body of work in terms of the best of DVD. If you own all the rights to your matches, it's unmatched. Now you get to add to that by leaving TNA, and you get to work with a wide variety of different types of opponents. As frustrating as the TNA situation has been for you, and maybe a little heartbreaking because that's your hometown team in a way, are you kind of excited to get out there and work in front of different fans, different buildings, and especially a different range of opponents, including maybe some new up-and-coming younger guys?
Absolutely. I think that's, I've always liked, doing the independents and wrestling different guys and being able to share the knowledge that I've gotten over the years. Not that I have all of it, but I have a little bit, and do what Jerry Lynn did for me and help me get better at what I do.
Yep.
But it's fun getting in front of new fans, even some old ones, and on a quality match. When they leave, they're like, wow, that AJ Styles, man, he's something, and I'm glad that I came and saw him before his career ends. I want them to be excited about coming in and watching me wrestle because that's what they paid to see, and I aim to entertain.
Tomorrow night, you're in Cedar Falls, Iowa, for Magnum Pro against Jason Strife. I don't know a lot about Jason. Do you know his work?
I don't. I wish I did. But this is part of the getting out there and seeing who's doing something new, something different, and just exploring new talent. And heck, you never know what doors might open for me that I can open for someone else.
And then Sunday night, I think it's Sunday night. I've just got Sunday down, but PWX in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, against Cedric Alexander. And then Smash Wrestling, you're going to be in Toronto, taking on Chris Hero, recently released from WWE. That's a big-time headline indie match coming up in a week. So just the next week or so, wide variety of opponents, Iowa, North Carolina, and Toronto. That's a diverse group of cities. And then you also already worked ROH, and you'll be on ROH TV. Do you know the air date of your first match? Is it late February?
I think it is late February. I do believe it is, yes.
And then February 21st, you'll be at the ROH 12th anniversary show in Philadelphia. And then the TV taping the next night, also in Philadelphia on February 22nd. Tons of indie dates booked all the way, from what I see, through late April. So have you been pleased, or I guess you would probably expect this kind of demand for your work at this point, but have you been pleased with dealing with indie promoters again and negotiating your own price and kind of being more entrepreneurial and less working for a company again? Is that got your juices flowing a little bit and kind of energized you a little bit, or is it kind of a drag because you got to do all this extra work?
Well, truth be known, I do have an agent who takes care of that.
Yeah.
And so, as well, Bill Barons,
he
takes care of all of me, and he's very fair. He does exactly what I ask him to do, and I'm making him work very hard now. So,
well, good. I've known Bill for a long time. You should make him work hard.
Well, he got it too easy with TNA for too long. So 11 years is too easy. But yeah, man. I mean, that's a good thing. It's going to be they're going to be treated fair. These promoters are, and they're going to get a fair price, and they're going to definitely get what they ask for when AJ Styles steps into the ring.
I want to note that if people want to know AJ's upcoming dates, and I'll let AJ plug his site in a second too, but you can go to PWTorch.com and choose the ROH News or TNA News section from our drop menu, and we continue to update anytime a new date is added. We add the date because there's a lot of interest I know out there in people getting a chance to see AJ Styles in person who haven't had a chance to see him yet over the years if TNA hasn't come to their market. So, AJ, let's do this early, and we'll do it later in the show too. But let's do some plugs. You've got a website, Twitter account, anything that you want to plug so people can track where you're going to be, how to buy any kind of merchandise or videotapes that you might have or videotapes, how dated is that? DVDs that you might be interested in. or that they might be interested in. Plug away.
Well, all the stuff that I'm going to sell is going to be on my website, and that's ajstyles.org. My Twitter is ajstylesorg. So don't be fooled by the one idiot on there that's, it's AJ Styles, but instead of the L in Styles, he has a capital I. That is not me. I got a check mark. I'm verified.
Yeah.
So follow me on Twitter. I definitely won't blow up your Twitter or retweet what everyone says, but I do read everything that's on Twitter. I do that. I think that's I think I'm going to be. Oh man. Well, I won't plug that yet because I'm not sure on that yet. But anyway, yes, you can get much of your merchandise, AJ Styles merchandise, off the website of mine.
Excellent. Let me take care of a little business with our sponsor, and then we're going to go to phone calls and emails. We've got a lot of people on hold already. Looks like we're at 9 or 10 right now. If you want to get in line on the phone banks, the phone number is 646-721-9828. That's 646-721-9828. And you can also email us a question right now if you're listening live to this show at PWTorchLivecast@gmail.com. That is PWTorchLivecast@gmail.com. If you have stumbled upon this show because AJ Styles was on the show and you wanted to hear it, please check out our archives at PWTorchLivecast.com. We had a timely interview lasting well over an hour with Jake the Snake Roberts last week, fresh off of his appearance 5 days earlier on Raw. And the week before that, I believe, was Diamond Dallas Page, giving his ideas for New Year's resolutions, New Year's inspiration. I know a lot of people want to get in shape, and, of course, he had believe it or not, he mentioned DDP Yoga, although I'm happy to talk to him about that because it's a good product, and I believe in it. You can check out that DDP interview from a couple weeks ago. And then the week before that was a 2013 year in review, 2014 look ahead with ex-ECW World Champion Justin Credible and two ex-WWE writers, Andrew Goldstein and Matt McCarthy. And I encourage you to check that out, too. That show got a lot of rave reviews. We did close to 3 hours of both the free show and the VIP show, looking back at 2013 and ahead to 2014. And if you're new to the show, definitely go back to November archives. Stone Cold Steve Austin, my guest, for a couple hours. Great episode, and I was on his show also the week before that. And you can check out the Steve Austin show on iTunes or any podcast place to check that out. Our sponsor of the show, as I mentioned at the top, is Audible.com, a leading provider of spoken audio information and entertainment. You can listen to audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. When you're tired of the livecast and listening to us talk about wrestling, you can listen to somebody read a book to you. How lazy is that? That's actually pretty awesome. If you're driving, got a long commute, or you're just chilling out, want to have a book read to you, there are over 150,000 titles to choose from, including some wrestling books, by the way. Steve Austin's autobiography from 10 years ago, Hardcore History by Scott Williams, the latest autobiographies by Lex Luger, and older ones from years back with Hulk Hogan and Dusty Rhodes, and much more, plus popular authors, Stephen King, John Grisham, Tom Clancy, Dean Koontz, George Carlin, Tina Fey, Malcolm Gladwell, and more. Check that out. If you go to audibletrial.com/ProWrestlingTorch, you get a free book. No strings attached. Check it out and show support for our show. All right, let's now shift gears and go to the phone lines. And we'll begin with area code 314, and then after that will be 319. 314, thanks for calling. You're on the PWTorch Livecast with AJ Styles. Please state your name and where you're from.
Hello, this is Damien from St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, Damien, thanks for calling. What have you got for AJ?
Well, how you doing, AJ? First and foremost, I'm just going to keep this real brief. Thank you. I'm just going to keep it real brief. Out of all your 12-plus history career, whether it's TNA, ROH, or any other company you've been in, what do you feel were some of the best matches you have ever had, and with who? That's all I got. Thanks for taking my call, Wade.
Thanks, Damien. Appreciate your VIP membership, too.
Wow, that's a hard question.
That's really broad.
Because I've had so many great matches, both in ROH, Independence, and definitely TNA. I think that one that is on everyone's mind is Unbreakable 2005 with Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels. That was one of those matches that just came together, and we made some magic. But then we would be on the town show in Philly at the ECW Arena and had another three-way match, and it was unbelievable. There's so many matches that I've had with Abyss that have been outstanding. The American Dragon, in Ring of Honor, low-key Ring of Honor low-key in Japan. There are a number of matches, and I can go on and on. Paul London, the matches that we had. There's so many that I'm so proud of. It would be hard just to pick one, but I think that's really a question for the fans to go, hey, it was this match that really got me back into wrestling, or really, I just couldn't stop watching. It was something I'll never forget. So there's been too many to just pick one.
AJ, you mentioned earlier Jerry Lynn, and I was even going to mention him when I talked about your body of work and Samoa Joe's body of work standing up to anybody the last dozen years in this industry, in this country and worldwide. Jerry Lynn is one of those guys. I went to his retirement show last year here in Minneapolis, and it was a great experience and a great time and a special night for him. And I look at Jerry Lynn as one of the top 10 workers of the past 25 years in this country. He was, for any number of reasons, never a WrestleMania headliner. He was not even for that long a TNA pay-per-view headliner for a variety of reasons. But my experience has been, and I want you to talk about him for a minute just because he did retire last year and we haven't had a chance to talk about it. I just think Jerry Lynn deserves to be in the conversation as one of the wrestlers that I hear other wrestlers praise the most often for being such a ring general, such a pro, and his body of work with such a wide variety of opponents worldwide is so great. And I'm a little biased in the sense that I got to see him from the very beginning at the old Ropers and George's nightclub in Fridley, Minnesota, where he had that great series and feud with 1-2-3 Kid, or Lightning Kid at that point, I should say. But talk for a little bit about Jerry Lynn and what makes him special to work with, and how important he was early in your career.
Well, I think I can remember the first time I met Jerry Lynn is when he came into Wildside, the NWA Wildside.
Never heard of it.
Where I started. But I remember he's just coming up, and hey, I'm Jerry Lynn, introducing himself, and I was speechless because I knew exactly who this man was, and he had no ego, very friendly, and that's who Jerry Lynn was. I mean, he really was just a super nice guy, which you just don't see it in someone like that. I just looked at him on on a different level. I put him on this pedestal as one of the top wrestlers, and I still do. But the one thing that, he was, just like you said, a ring general. When we got in the ring, I had confidence that we were going to have a great match because I was going to listen to Jerry, let him, tell me what we need to do. I always had fun when I was in the ring with him. We always had great matches. He's just one of those things. And I know that, Jerry and Rob Van Dam had some unbelievable matches. But a part of me goes, while Rob is amazingly athletic, when it came down to putting that match together and make it look unbelievable, I'm going to put that ball with Jerry Lynn. I really believe that he's the one that took it to another level as far as being special matches, and he did that with me too. He's unbelievable to wrestle with, and think of all those great matches. That it sucks to see that he isn't in something as far as a legend, because to me, he is.
I would love to see WWE has inducted some people who didn't have who didn't have much or any time in their company. Vern Gagne, for instance. Jerry's just one of those guys, and he's not going to be a headliner, and I understand that, and he understands that. But he's one of those guys, especially having retired last year. I think it would be just such an incredible gesture to induct him in the WWE Hall of Fame based on. And I've never even pitched this before, just as you're talking about it. He's somebody who I think would deserve that recognition. I mean, the years he put in and the body of work that he put in and how respected he is by his peers, I think he would be overwhelmed, and it would be the right thing for WWE to do, to put somebody like him in there, even though his time was limited, and in part because with the WWE Network coming out and how much footage they own now of Jerry from WCW and ECW, that would actually help raise his profile and would serve WWE in a pure business sense to get more people to understand who he is and what he was all about. So, anyway, maybe I don't want to. Maybe there's planning to surprise him, and I'm ruining it. Yeah. Yep. All right, very cool. Let's go to another caller on the VIP Express line, area code 518. Mike from Albany, New York. What have you got for AJ today?
Hey, AJ, how you doing? I'm a big fan. I agree with Wade, what he said before. You're one of the best workers in the last decade, man. But over the years with TNA, they've sort of saddled you with some, I guess I'll call them wacky gimmicks and, different storylines and stuff. I remember the first time I ever watched TNA, you married Karen Angle just because you were standing in the ring with her at the time. There was the whole, Nature Boy gimmick they put on you for a few weeks. The Dixie Affair thing from a couple of years ago. So my question to you is, over the years, what was your least favorite of those gimmicks? Because the whole time, man, I was just wanting AJ Styles to be AJ Styles,
You're not the only one. I definitely heard it from a lot of people that, especially when I was going through the Christian Coalition, and as goofy as that was, I had the most fun with Tomko and Christian. But I really had a hard time with being Ric Flair. I don't know how comfortable I looked with, when the ladies came out and with Rick and I was very uncomfortable with being with them. It was awkward. I didn't hate the idea. It was very awkward for me to be out there with other women like that and trying to act like the Nature Boy. It just, it was really hard for me. There's not a lot of things that I just hated because I'm going to put whatever I do 100% into it. If they want me to be Ric Flair, okay, fine. WCW, when I was with them, they had me as a fighter pilot. Well, they're going to get the best fighter pilot they ever got. And if I had to pick the worst game, that was probably it. So, I can't remember anything. I was just mad that I was doing this gimmick. I can't remember if there's anything like that, but there were definitely some moments where I was uncomfortable.
AJ, is it true they wanted you to bleach your hair and grow it out for the Ric Flair gimmick?
Yes.
Yeah. And you took a stand on that, didn't you?
Yes. Because I had to remind them of Charles Robinson. He did the same thing.
Yeah.
He was Little Nate. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
From WCW. I didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I wanted to be AJ Styles.
Yeah.
That was influenced by Ric Flair. So that's why I put a little bit of blonde in my hair, and I did wear a robe, but I did my own little thing and put a hood on the robe, just to be different. But like I said, being influenced by Ric Flair.
Do you feel a little ripped off that Miz took your gimmick as a guy who doesn't look like Ric Flair, who's Ric Flair's protege?
Well, hey, I can tell you this: as big of a star as the Miz is, Ric Flair's bigger. And get out of that shadow. That's the one thing that I felt, that I was stuck in his shadow. If I were with Rick, they didn't want to speak to the World Heavyweight Champion AJ Styles. They wanted to speak to the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and it's just a shadow that you just can't get out of.
Yeah, I agree. Mike, anything else for AJ?
No, AJ, I'm going to see you in Binghamton, New York in March, man, for 2CW. I can't wait. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, man.
All right, very good. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for your VIP membership, too. All right, let's go next to Kylan from New Jersey, another VIP member on the VIP Express line. Kylan, thanks for calling. What have you got for AJ? Let me guess, you have 3 questions.
Yes, sir, Wade. One of them Mike kind of just brought up because I was going to ask AJ, was he offended by having to portray Ric Flair Jr., or was he uncomfortable with it at all?
Well, we got that covered, so what's your second one, Kylan?
My second question is WWE even an option for you to go to if you decided to go there, or would you be offended by having to go to the Performance Center?
Well, I'll say this. A lot of people have said, AJ, go to WWE. I can't really make that decision. I can't hire myself there. And, so that's not a decision that I get to make. I'm going to do what's best for my family. If the opportunity came up, it's just like anything else. You're going to have to, weigh your options. And would I like to work for WWE? Sure. I haven't worked there before. I'd love the opportunity to get out there and show them what I can do. But, time will tell if that ever will happen.
Did you, Jason Powell, when he worked for Pro Wrestling Torch, did an interview with you about a dozen years ago, and you had mentioned you got a trial with WWE, but you weren't interested in going there. I'm trying to remember because I meant to read the interview before today's interview, and I did not. So I'm having to go on memory here. But you said that the money that they offered just wasn't compelling, or that you felt you would have better opportunity.
Yeah,
review what happened there.
Well, I went to their camp.
Yeah.
Camp in Ohio. They did offer me a developmental deal, but I'd have to move to Cincinnati. Now my wife was in college, and I just didn't see that was a feasible to me. Really, I mean, honestly, if I were a single man at that time, I would have jumped all over that. But I had to support my wife while she was in college, and I just didn't think that was the right thing to do to leave my wife and have her move back in with her mom. That's just not how a marriage works. So I did what I thought was best for my family then, and I had no regrets.
Very good. All right, let's go back to Kylan for question number 3.
Okay. Question number 3. How did you feel about the Claire Lynch crack storyline that you did?
Well, I felt like it could have been a really good storyline. I know that's odd to a lot of people, but actually, myself, Christopher Daniels, and Frankie Zarin put a lot of thought into it. But that thought was changed up within the story, and then when you change the little things, it's not going to make sense in the long run. There was a lot of things that needed to happen that didn't, and it kind of ruined the story. Like I said, we thought this thing out a lot and had everything nailed down, the backstory, everything. And then when Claire came out as a friend of the family, that kind of just ruined everything. You can't be a friend of the family. You have to be a niece. That was the most important thing in there, because now we have a backstory of why, AJ was taking care of this girl and not Dixie Carter. So you got a little screwed up, and then it just got wacky from there. And you try to save what you have, and there's just no saving it at some, at the point where you're trying to save it.
We got an email question from Juan Nunez, who wants to know, if you had the opportunity to go to WWE, would you accept a name change and a gimmick change?
Sure. I mean, I doubt they're going to have another AJ there.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I can still, I think that I could be wrong. I think I made a name for myself big enough for people would just probably going to start chanting AJ anyway. But I would definitely go to WWE as Alan Jones. That doesn't bother me one bit. And the gimmick change, I can't imagine, what they do, but I would do it to the best of my abilities.
Very good. If you're just joining us, AJ Styles is the guest here on the PWTorch Livecast on Friday, January 17th, 2014. I'm Wade Keller, and I invite you to become a VIP member of PWTorch. We've been in business 26 years. And we have a weekly print newsletter, and for $99, you can get that print newsletter, 12 pages of exclusive information, backstage news, first-run interviews, editorials, top-shelf writers, and much more. For just $99, just for details on that subscription, go to pwtorch.com/govip. That's pwtorch.com/govip. We revamped our format about 2 months ago. It seems like every day an email comes in from somebody who has it's reinvigorated their interest in the newsletter. We listened to what you wanted to see changed and made some big changes. And we're putting a lot more exclusive features and news into the newsletter. And I think if you were a subscriber in the past and let it lapse, you want to give it another look. And if you never have been a subscriber, now's a great time to dive in. It's kind of cool to look forward to that mega dose of wrestling news and commentary every week in your mailbox. $99 today gets you a whole year of home delivery. Check it out now, pwtorch.com/govip. Also on that page, you can get information on getting an online membership. That price point's the same, $99 for a whole year of VIP access, which includes PDFs and text copies of the newsletter if you prefer to read the newsletter online, and many other features, audio shows, and ad-free access to our website. All of our new content is available through our PWTorch app every day also in the VIP section. If you read us on our app, you can access our VIP information and audio through our app also. If you decide to get the newsletter and the VIP membership, we knock a huge chunk off the price. In fact, I think we knock off $70. So check out that deal at pwtorch.com/govip. All right, back to the phone lines. Let's go to another, I believe another VIP caller on hold, or did I already go to him? Let me see if he's still on here. All right, we'll go next to area code 319. 319, please state your name and where you're from.
This is Andrew from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and I'm kind of slightly marking out a little bit, so can you, go to the next call so, I can just... No, I'll just talk right now. What's up, AJ?
All right.
What's up, man?
Yeah, I've been watching you since 5th grade, and, 6 years later, you've always still been the future of wrestling in TNA. It's like every time they do an interview, it's like, who's that young, fresh talent coming to TNA? And it's like, we got this AJ Styles guy who... And then it's like, who else? Well, Bubba Ray, he reinvented himself, and we got James Storm. That's really, yeah. So,
yeah, I don't know why I'm still the young guy there. I don't feel like I am with, these young faces there, but I don't know when I'm going to ever be the man there rather than the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what, I
guess
think
never now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it's BS. It's like, number one, you're even on this show, and number two, that you're not even in TNA. It's like, I just think it's just whatever.
Are you going to the show tomorrow night, Andrew?
What?
Are you going to the indie show tomorrow night?
Oh, no, I didn't know about it.
Well, now that you know about it.
I know. I should be a bigger fan of yours. All right, and my brother was
going to be in. Right. He's going to be in Cedar Falls, Iowa. That's not Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, I'm in Cedar Rapids. Actually, my sister lives there.
How far is that?
I think it's 30 minutes away.
Oh, yeah. Well, you should go. I'm just saying.
All right. Is it tomorrow?
All right. Yeah, tomorrow night.
All right. I don't have any time. But my brother actually had a question he wanted me to ask. What was it like working for Sting, and what was it like acting like Sting this last year?
With Sting's awesome,
the whole
man.
Crow
I love working with him. The Crow, yeah. I have a lot of respect for Sting. He really is one of those guys who's an icon. I mean, he definitely is an icon. It's not just saying that. And to get in the ring and work with him and work against him, it was a pleasure, man. It was always fun working with him. And, I can't say enough good things about him. I hope, that he has the opportunity to do what he needs to do in wrestling, and I hope he's having fun. But overall, man, he deserves everything he gets.
What kind of leadership did he provide in the TNA locker room over the years, and how did he look, or how did wrestlers look up to him, and how accessible was he in terms of giving advice or helping guys advance in terms of their characters and their in-ring work?
There were a number of times when he'd come up to me and say, "Oh man, I really like that," or "Hey, maybe if you try this," and I really appreciate that. When people come up to me and give me constructive criticism. But he was very approachable. I don't think there was anybody who was afraid to come up, and ask him anything. He was that kind of guy, and definitely when he spoke, people listened. There's no doubt about it.
Very good. Let's go back to the phone lines and go to 773 next. 773, thanks for holding. Please state your name and where you're from.
Boris from Chicago.
Hey, Boris, what have you got for AJ today?
Once again, Wade, you pull it off. You get the best of the best for the people. You are for the fans, unlike WWE at this point. But I'm asking of the AJ as a fan of wrestling. How do you like how much the fans are backing Daniel Bryan, even though the storylines are not that good for him right now?
Well, I love it, man. He's an awesome wrestler. I've had great matches with him. He deserves everything he gets. I remember running into him in Orlando when I was with TNA, and he was going through WWE, and this was before the Yes started and everything. So it's cool to see him do so well because he's such a good guy. I mean, he really is, and works hard. He like I said, he deserves everything he gets. Man, I'm glad that he's doing well. I really am. I think a lot of people feel the same way. A lot of respect for Daniel Bryan.
The push that Daniel Bryan has gotten, and the outrage that a lot of his fans have over things. I mean, the way that he was portrayed this fall after the win at SummerSlam, and I mean, just for 3 minutes before the Money in the Bank cash-in and the Triple H pedigree, it was just this amazing moment that fans love. They're like, Daniel Bryan, this guy we've been cheering like crazy for a few months, made it. He's the champion, and WWE pulled the rug out from under him and then kept pulling it out, pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view, and saying bad things about him. And a lot of fans watch a show and they go, I know that's a heel. I know they're trying to get heat on themselves, and Bryan's supposed to be upset. But Bryan never got that true payback. And then all of a sudden, Big Show with a lawyer gets the title shot after basically costing Daniel Bryan the title. And they didn't even talk about Daniel Bryan not getting another title shot. So all these things are happening, and all along the path, while all that was happening, they kept saying, and it was based in truth, we can't imagine him as a face of the company. And a lot of that has to do with his height and the fact that he's not 6'4", he's not Batista's size, he's not Brock Lesnar's size. Is it somewhat, for you, AJ, watching that, as somebody who's also not above average in height, you're not the Batista-sized guy that WWE likes to push, is there a certain amount of satisfaction when a guy like Daniel Bryan, who is in that same category of you as a worker and from a size category, gets over like he did, almost in spite of the promotion's attitude towards him? Do you feel kind of part of a informal group when you see somebody and take satisfaction when that happens?
Absolutely. I think we're very similar. Daniel Bryan and I, as far as height and weight, pretty much, the way we wrestle. So it's nice to see. I'll pull out something that Terry Taylor had said to me all the time, is that you're the bumblebee. Daniel Bryan's the bumblebee. He's not supposed to be able to fly. He's not supposed to be able to do all these great things. He's, everything says he's not supposed to be this guy, and yet he keeps proving them wrong. When you have a drive that you can't explain, when you want to succeed, as we've seen on YouTube, this guy saying when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, it changes things. He's a game changer. That's what he does, and it's great to see this develop the way it has. And I know that some people aren't happy with the way, but trust me, he's doing well. And he's busted his butt to get there.
Absolutely. All right, back to the phone lines. Let's go next to 210 and then on deck 281. 210, please state your name and where you're from.
My name's Christopher. I'm from San Antonio, Texas.
Hey, Christopher, what do you got for AJ?
First of all, I want to say hello, AJ, and give my blessings to your wife and children. And everything you've done is amazing, so thank you. And I guess my main question is, no problem, and God bless as well. I guess my main question is, during your run in TNA, when did you feel like TNA was hitting its stride, firing on all cylinders, so to speak? You can give me a year, you can give me a storyline, and then right after that, when did you feel like it was losing its stride?
I really was excited about TNA 2005, 2006. I mean, because we were definitely hitting our stride. We were definitely hitting our marks. When Samoa Joe came in, it changed everything. It was such a big deal when Kurt Angle came in. Soon after Christian. When Christian came in, it was a huge deal. He opened the door for Kurt Angle. There was a couple of years there, 05, 06, 07, where we were really gaining ground. We were really making a difference, and it was exciting, to see all this. And you weren't upset that I'm going to win the X Division title, or because or you weren't going to win the X Division title. It didn't matter, because you knew that you were going to go in there and you were going to put on quality matches, and it didn't matter what the storylines were, because the matches were so good. We were doing exactly what we should have been doing, and that was capitalizing on our roster, because our roster was second to no one as far as the wrestling goes. I thought most of the matches that you see there were brilliant, and the group of guys was just amazing.
And second part of his question, when did you think things maybe started going off the rail a little?
Well, that's hard to say. I thought when, man, that's a hard one. It's tough to say. I really don't know exactly when that happened. I think the problem was when we would go from one television station to another, which happened twice. We hit the reset button. I don't know how many people enjoyed that, but you do what you have to do. Jeff Jarrett at the time was, everybody knew who Jeff Jarrett was, and they didn't really know who AJ Styles was. So I understand why they did that. It was discouraging then, but you understand now. But I want to say once we started hiring too many guys from maybe WWE, that it started to slow down because you were seeing less of the wrestling that you fell in love with, and more of what you've already seen.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yep. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. All right, let's go next to area code 281. 281, and by the way, 765 is on deck. 281, please state your name and where you're from.
Hey guys, this is Jay out of Houston. How are you doing, AJ?
I'm good, man.
All right, I have two questions, if that's all right. My first one My first one is about Hulk Hogan. Do you think during his entire run in TNA, he had the best interests of the company at heart, or do you think he was more about how can I get myself over it? You know, just in your honest opinion.
Well, I would say Hulk Hogan is old school. And old school means that you got to get yourself over. That's your job. And I've heard it from numerous guys who've, been the old school guys. Your first priority is to get yourself over. And it's not a bad thing, but I think when they bring you in at a certain level, you got to do your job. And I don't know exactly what his job was. If it was just to be there every now and then and do this or that, and not, did TNA tell him, hey, when you get on a TV show, when you get on The View or whatever it is that you're getting on, mention TNA.
Yeah.
If they didn't tell him that, then if they didn't make give him any beef about it, then what's the problem? So I would say that Hulk Hogan did what he needed to do for Hulk Hogan. I mean, he went through a lot of crap. He probably lost a lot of money. So I'm sure that he did what he thought he needed to do. And, I don't blame him for that. If the ATM keeps spitting out money, then why would you change anything?
You bring it up, Jay. Indulge me for 1 second, AJ. You bring it up, and Hulk Hogan did when he was talking about TNA specifically. In a wrestling environment, it was, I'm totally for TNA. We're going to make this work. I'm on Team Dixie. Let's take it to Vince McMahon. But you're right. It had to be a little discouraging when he would make these mainstream appearances that he didn't seem. It wasn't his money on the line in TNA apparently, because he didn't do a lot to promote Thursday night on Spike TV as Impact. Was that something that the TNA originals and that the core locker room noticed and talked about amongst yourselves as being somewhat disappointing, or again, do you just kind of politically write it off as if it's not Hulk's job to do it, then I guess we can't blame him?
Well, definitely we talked about it, like why isn't he doing, promoting TNA, because we would have. That'd be our deal. That's what we would have done. But he didn't have to, I guess. And who knows? Were they doing something to piss him off? I'm not sure. Just say, well, he's not going to say a word. Maybe I don't know what exactly was going on. So I don't want to sit here and say Hulk Hogan's a douchebag. I'm not going to say that because I don't know if he was.
We're going to splice, AJ. We're going to splice it so it sounds like you did.
Well, I'm just. The thing is, you never know what someone else is going through with their job.
Yeah.
And he may be doing this for a reason. So you can't blame him if they like I said, if no one's going to come up and say, hey man, next time you're on the show, I double dog dare you to say something about TNA.
Yeah.
So and I don't see anybody doing that. I really don't. I think they were intimidated by Hulk Hogan.
Jay, go ahead. Any follow-up?
Okay. My next question is, with the state of TNA right now, who do you think would be better to build around out of Magnus, Samoa Joe, or James Storm?
Samoa Joe. I think it's about time that he gets another shot at the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah.
And not only is he an incredible wrestler, he's big. He can move. I mean, he's everything that when you think of some bad dude that you don't want to run into an alley with, it's Samoa Joe. And the great thing about Joe is he's just as good on the microphone as he is in the ring. So, you're getting the best when you put Samoa Joe in there. There's no doubt about it. I don't think putting him in a suit is the right thing, though. How about that?
AJ, with Samoa Joe, was you and Samoa, you've been there longer, but you and Joe have been there for years and years, and you're looking at what's going on in WWE. You see the ups and downs with TNA. Was there ever between you guys like a jealousy pang watching, say, Daniel Bryan recently or CM Punk going back a little bit? just knowing that they're seen by more people, they're making more money. I'm gonna put Jay on hold here. I'm hearing my feedback. Was there ever pangs of jealousy, or did it just make you more hungry to try to make TNA succeed?
I think it definitely made me hungry. I mean, but you definitely had to sit there and go, hold on a second. This guy's making millions, and here we are, definitely not doing as well as that. So there were some times, man, where we had to just pep talk ourselves, In the seated interview, I talked about, Joe and I, and I was giving him a pep talk. I told him that at some point we're going to be the top dogs, and we don't have to worry about this mess anymore. And I was wrong. We never really were the top dogs.
Yeah.
We never were those guys that, were respected enough for somebody, hey, to come and ask us about a storyline or whatever. It just didn't happen. I don't know why that is, but it's not jealousy. That we were never jealous of one of our peers. We were actually happy for those guys. I mean, that's what you got the wrestling business to do, and we were happy they had the opportunity to make some money.
It could be my phone, AJ, but if you did anything to change your connection, you're sounding a little bit more muffled just in the last minute than you were earlier in the show.
All right. Well, I didn't do anything. So.
Oh, now you're better. That's great. So whatever you didn't do that. Just keep doing it. All right. With Samoa Joe, he's going on 35 years old in March. You're 36. Austin Aries 35. Bobby Roode's 37. Those are, it's from a pro athlete standpoint, that's near the end of the career. But in pro wrestling, that's when the most money is made. That it's you've been around, you've established yourselves, you know what to do to get over with the crowd. The crowds know you. There's a bond that's formed there. I look at that age group and I see that's the prime earning years. And so when people say, oh, you can't go with Joe because he's been around too long, like that's how long. That's the age when most guys start making their peak money, unless you're Randy Orton or John Cena who just get shot to the top. So yeah, I like the idea of going with Samoa Joe again and giving TNA an identity of having somebody who just comes across as a badass, because he is. There's no faking it. And
I always believe that in professional wrestling, you have to look like you can kick the guy's butt in the front row.
Yep.
Because it's just a believability kind of thing. People want to believe in pro wrestling. They want to believe. So let's let them. When Samoa Joe kicks somebody or lands on you, you're thinking, oh my God, he just destroyed that guy.
Yep.
And that's what you want. And Samoa Joe is all about that.
Do you think you could take Batista in a shoot fight?
I don't know how much jiu-jitsu he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a little bit myself, but
I say that, AJ, and I'm sorry for interrupting you. I want to tell you why I said it, because I would take you by my side walking down a dark, dangerous alley over Batista, because Batista's like a really big guy, but I think he could get his legs chopped out from under him and be in trouble. And I know he trained in MMA, and I'm who knows, but just the whole perception of like size. I think people can tell when somebody's tightly wound, legitimately tough, and if if there's that sense that there's a temper there that can be just triggered, like that doesn't have to do with height. And I think you have that, and I think Joe has that. That's kind of my point. Batista kind of seems like he's more of a movie star pretending to be a wrestler.
Fair enough. I will say this, when it comes to MMA, there are no rules in a street fight. So keep that in mind if you ever want to come at me. I'm not afraid to go redneck on somebody.
But we have you on record. You might be able to take Batista.
Wait a minute. Next thing I know, I'll run into Batista and he wants to fight me.
I know. I'm just trying to stir some trouble. I picked him randomly. It's not like there's anything behind this. I just figured I'd start some trouble. Maybe when Batista leaves WWE and Dana White's looking to help buy rates with all the injured fighters, then he can create a super fight. All right, anyway, off my silly topic there. Let's go to area code 765. 765, please state your name and where you're from.
My name's Brandon, calling from Indiana.
Yeah. What have you got, Brandon?
Hey, AJ. How you doing, man?
Hey, bud. Good.
Hey, got two quick questions. First off, I do think you could take Batista in a shoot fight. I don't know if you've been in any fights.
Here we go.
Well, hey, just saying, his MMA fight was horrible. It was like the plumber from down the street. But anyway, in 2009, there was talks of Paul Heyman coming in and taking over TNA and maybe doing some of the booking and whatnot. And I was just wondering to get your take with some of the boys in the back maybe, getting, catching wind of that and maybe thinking, this would be a good thing? Because I was thinking about it, you get someone like Paul Heyman in, not only can he, do great things, we've seen what he done in ECW, but, he could have brought in somebody like Brock Lesnar, and I think that's a game changer. That's going to bring eyes to your product. So I'd just like to get your thoughts on that, and then I have one more question after that.
Well, there was talk of Paul Heyman coming in, and I know there were a lot of us that were very excited about that. Because we like Tommy Dreamer. We were hoping Tommy Dreamer would get a spot in creative, so that he can work on some stuff. I'd love for Tommy to be that top guy, and Tommy and Paul are pretty much the same, they think the same. So to have Paul there, it was very exciting thinking that he may show up. But from what I heard, and I don't know how much truth this is, there may be no truth to it at all, that Paul wanted control, total control, and that if he couldn't have that, he was not going to work there. And there you have it. He never worked at TNA.
Interesting. Well, one more thing is, and I guess it's making the news round on the website, but I guess Lex Luger passed away, and I was just trying to get.
No way.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to get your
sure on
thoughts.
I don't want to do the Mae Young thing where people.
Well,
God,
I don't know. A few sites are reporting it, so I don't know if it's true or not.
Well, we don't have it on our site yet, and that would be awful news. But I will.
Awful news. Man.
I just checked ProWrestling.net. They don't have it, so I'm going to look for a reputable site that's confirming it here, and hopefully that's not true.
Yeah, several different sites.
Let me just say this, since you guys are talking about Lex, man. I got to meet Lex a long time ago in WCW, and the guy that that I know now is just two different people, man. And I just think that it just goes to show that sometimes when you hit rock bottom, the only place you can look is up. And I think, like myself, he found I know that he found faith in Jesus Christ, and he's just a totally different person. And I love the guy. He when Sting was getting to the TNA Hall of Fame, he spoke, and literally it spoke, to me big time, to the point where I thanked him for saying what he said about Sting, and then I went and hugged my friends, because of what he said, and he's just a special guy to me.
Yeah, I'm not seeing news of that anywhere. By the way, I don't know where you're looking, Brandon, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but the sites that usually have that news first are not having it. So I just want to scratch that off people's minds until we get confirmation. And my inclination is, given everywhere I just checked in the last minute, that nobody reputable who usually has that news first has it. So hopefully that is the case. Brandon, appreciate the call. Let's move on now to another caller. Area code 609. 609, thanks for holding. Please state your name and where you're from.
Dwayne from New Jersey.
Dwayne, thanks for calling. What have you got for AJ?
AJ, I'm a big fan of yours, and I think you're truly the best professional wrestler today.
Thanks, man.
I have just one question for you. You must be very overwhelmed by all the questions these past couple of weeks, so I'm going to make it very brief. Aside from wrestling, how much does family mean to you, and also how much does God mean to you in this stage of your life?
Well, I got to tell you, man, I've been doing a lot of praying, because this is a big change in my life. This is a big decision that I had to make to step away from TNA. It was a hard decision. It wasn't an easy one. And at the end of the day, man, every time I've put God first, it's came out to be a blessing. So I think I've made the right decision. I talked to my wife about it, and the thing is you'd think that I'd got to get to be at home with my family a little bit more, but the truth is that I'm going to be on the road a lot more, probably just getting out there on the independents and traveling the world to wrestle. But at the end, what I do right now will pay off in the end, so that I can spend more time with my family, and they were the world to me. I don't know what I'd be without them. I don't know. It's very lonely at the house when they're not here. You'd think that the three Stooges, I call my son and my wife, being around them all the time, it gets hectic, but you get used to it, and I just love being around them. I love going to basketball games and football games and all that stuff, and there's nothing like it. And they, I don't know where I'd be without them. So I'm very blessed to have them in my life. Obviously, I got a giant tattoo of my kids' initials and their birthdays. My wife wasn't too happy about that.
Why wasn't she happy?
AJ, I just want to say real quick, I hope the best of luck for you since you've gone through much adversity over the years. I just want to wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you, Val. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dwayne. Appreciate the call. All right, let's go next to...
Let me answer your question about the tattoo.
Oh, yeah.
Just so you know, my wife has never been a fan of tattoos. I've always liked them, but I wanted the one that I got to be special, to mean something, not just... anyway, we talked about a little something, maybe a little bitty, I don't know, maybe 2-inch long, something that says something about my kids. Well, in my mind, I had a totally different idea, and what you see is what you get. And the crazy thing is, as soon as it was done or it's being done, the tattoo, Jerry Boras tweeted it and put it out everywhere. And as much as my wife checks up on me, not because she doesn't trust me, just because she wants to see what I'm doing, she did not see this tattoo until I took off my shirt when I got home. And it took definitely 24 hours of her to, finally get over it, because she was not happy about this, like I said, giant tattoo on my side. But at the end of the day, I had to explain to her it wasn't a naked woman, it wasn't a meaningless tattoo, it was our kids on me. And sometimes dads do stuff, stupid stuff, to show their kids how much they love them.
Very good. Okay, that makes sense. All right, I've seen nothing, by the way, on Luger, so, I'm just want to add to that Google News search and every site I can think of. So I don't know where Jay went, but I think it was Jay, but don't go to that site again, I guess. All right, let's go now to area code 609. You're on the PWTorch Livecast with AJ Styles. Please state your name and where you're from.
This is Lewis from New Jersey.
Hey, Lewis, thanks for calling. What have you got for AJ?
Hey, what's going on, Wade? What's going on? Big fan of yours. All right,
thanks,
let me see here. Well, I actually wrote some stuff down because people were taking my questions left and right. So, first of all, somebody asked about Hogan earlier, but let me ask about some of Hogan's decisions. There's 3 things. This is the first question, by the way. For example, I've heard different things about, for example, I've heard Scott Steiner's full of cuss word version. I've heard Matt Morgan give the, Hogan's great and everything. But what about some of the decisions he made, such as the open fight night, getting rid of the 6-sided ring, the gut check? How was that for you? Did you want me to just ask all my other questions or just wait for the answer?
Let's do one at a time to keep things a little more organized.
This one first. The open fight night, I think, is a great idea. I thought that is tremendous. You know what you're getting when you tune in to open fight night. So that's a good thing. Wasn't happy about going to a 4-sided ring. I wasn't happy about that at all, because I thought that the 6 sides, it separated us from everybody else. We were different, and that's a good thing. What was the other thing?
Oh, I think there was gut check.
Did you catch that?
No, I said the gut check. Remember where they try to have tryouts live on TV?
Gut check, yeah.
Here's my only problem with the gut check. What those people experienced was real. They were being rejected on national TV. I wasn't cool with that. They're out there busting their tail. I guess they were trying to get some of the same feeling from American Idol or something like that, which is understandable. But, this is something that, you may not ever get another shot at this. It's not like American Idol. You can still continue to sing and get better at it. And you can with wrestling, but, to put it on national TV like this is kind of heartbreaking. And even when the guys did win it, they were very unlikely to be on TV anytime soon doing anything.
Yeah. And viewers kind of figured that out. They're like, well, who cares if you win if we don't ever see them again? So it kind of hurt the gimmick, yeah.
Yeah, if it was a one-time deal, then and it worked out, then you could do it maybe once a year, and it'd be a big, big deal.
Yeah.
But the way that they did it, you just kind of seeing where it was going.
Yep. All right, Lewis, what have you got next?
All right, well, before I move on, wait, how much of that open fight night was a shoot? And if it was, and if it was even remotely a shoot, how would creatives come up with their, lineup for the night? You know what I mean? Like,
well,
was it all
I think
done
you just mentioned exactly. You just mentioned what it was. It was creative. So we knew what was going on. So if somebody got called out, because that was usually how it goes, people call each other out. So, like I said, it's creative. We knew who we were calling out.
Oh, okay, got you. All right, okay, now quickly, how was the atmosphere literally like your last maybe 2 weeks there? Because I want to tell you from a fan, I'm sure Wade agrees with me, but from a fan's standpoint, it looks as if like the place is falling apart. For example, like Jeff Jarrett is leaving on his own. Of course, all these things have their own uniqueness to them, but like Jeff Jarrett's leaving on his own. The Aces and Eights guys got released. For example, like you're gone. There's rumors of Sting leaving. Now they have Jeff Hardy in storyline leaving because of the visa issues in real life. Like, I'll be honest, from a fan standpoint, how was it as far as the relationship between the talent and the staff, the executives and whatnot? Was it just like a chaotic atmosphere? Because that's pretty much how the chaotic atmosphere was during the Russo and WCW days. So it got portrayed like this on TV. So was that how the atmosphere was backstage last week you were there?
Well, it's funny how you mentioned the WCW, because I was there when that happened. But I was, there, for the short time. I didn't know if something was bad or not. So, but as far as TNA goes, the atmosphere didn't really change. And nobody knew that I may or may not come back because it was all taped. So it might be 2 weeks before my deal was up, or maybe a week before my deal was up. So, the atmosphere really wasn't changing. In fact, when I actually told some people that I was close to that I really respect, because honestly, there was a lot of people, behind the cameras and that I made friends with, and I miss those guys. I really do, and definitely the workers there. But it wasn't any different until I told them, what was going on, and they were in disbelief. But as far as TNA is going, I don't know if it's going under or not. I wouldn't know. I don't know exactly what's going on, but it looks like they're saving money. If that's the case, and I don't know if Sting's leaving, but if he is, I hope he goes and wrestles Undertaker, and makes a buttload of money, because that's a match I would tune in for. Just these two icons going at it. I don't know if they've ever wrestled before, but that's just wishful thinking. I know for everybody. But nothing changed. I was, like I said, no one knew I was leaving, so it wasn't a big deal, and I wasn't going to lead on that I was, and at the time I didn't know if I was going to leave. So.
All right, very good. Lewis, any final comments or questions for AJ?
Just the last question was, how much of that it looked completely like a work, but like how much of that talent meeting like a week before, or like I think it was like almost a month before, before Hogan and Bischoff actually came in, where they actually aired that live, and Dixie was getting so much heat for that, saying that she was just trying to soothe her own ego, where she was basically telling you guys, if you got a problem, you can do this or that with it. Like, how much of that was a work and a shoot, and how did she gather you guys all up on the stands and all that?
Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even remember that. I don't remember that. So I can't tell you anything about it. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
If you saw it on TV, then it's going to be, I would assume it's a work.
Yeah, that would be my answer to Mace. If it's on TV, it's you're really safe saying it's a work. Very cool, especially if it's not live. All right, let's go to our final caller here on the Livecast, and then we'll have a few minutes in the VIP exclusive part of the show and answer some more email questions. Area code 347, last caller of the day. Please state your name and where you're from.
Hello?
347. Yep.
Hello?
Chris from New York. Go
ahead. This is Chris from New York.
Yes. Yep, go ahead, Chris.
Yes. I have a couple of questions for AJ. The first one is, don't you think it's insulting that TNA would rather give their money to Sting, who's pushing 55, instead of a talent like AJ, who's basically worked his whole career there?
Well, I mean, who knows what's going to happen to Sting? We don't know if he's on his way out or not. So, and then again, he's under contract. So, mine was up. I mean, I don't think this, I think the world of Sting. So I hope that he makes his money. I hope he does well. I was insulted in what was offered, not really what, nothing that has anything to do with Sting. It's not his fault, So I insulted, hurt. It's more how I feel, but nothing toward Sting.
All right, Chris, question number 2.
The question is, do you think that TNA would have had a better shot at competing with WWE if they started in 2001 instead of there being like a 4-year gap where WWE was the only product to national TV?
Absolutely not. I think that TNA came in at the right time because people wanted to see something new. Because basically, WWE was the only wrestling company out there that you could see on a weekly basis, and so I think it was a good time, between WCW ending, which was what, 2001?
Yep.
I don't know. In 2002, it was just enough time for me to go, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't 4 years.
Yeah, no, it was only really a 1 year,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't. I don't think it was bad time. I can tell you, it's June of 2002 is when TNA started up.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure exactly when WCW went under, but it was just long enough for people to go, okay, I'd like to see something different. So, and the great thing was they weren't moving too fast. TNA, they weren't moving too fast, and so that while there was the WWE versus WCW that was still going on, and people were definitely watching it. TNA wasn't trying to grow so fast that they interrupted that. So by the time that TNA got bigger, that storyline was over with WCW and WWE. So I think the timing was pretty good.
Yeah, it was just a 1-year gap, so I don't know where Chris got that idea that was for. AJ, did you think too many times along the way that TNA, especially early on, but even later on in 2010 with the big Monday Night move, that TNA was trying too hard to be that WCW alternative by being a WWF or WWE alternative by being a lot like WCW was? Because it seemed like multiple times, especially early on, they were like, you got Dave Penzer as a ring announcer, you got Mike Tenay on commentary. It felt and looked a lot like WCW at times. Did you feel that was intentional and too much of that?
Well, Mike Tenay's great, so you can't deny that, a commentator like that. And Dave Penzer, it didn't seem like he lasted too long. So
yeah, and I mean symbolically, like they're just 2 of 20 things you could list that made TNA feel like they were trying to capture the WCW audience almost as a deliberate business plan.
Yeah, I think that they may have been trying to go after that, and when they realized, okay, this isn't working, and it wasn't too long, I believe, is when we switched to, because we weren't in a 6-sided ring to begin with. It was something that was brought in during TNA's existence, and I said we, and I apologize for that. But it was that, I think that was the best move that TNA made, and it was a risky one because it's a 6-sided ring. It's totally different than what everybody's used to, but at the same time they've seen UFC, so it kind of worked. So I don't even know where I was going with this as far as WCW. I think that they may have seen themselves going that direction and then changed it and went a totally different direction, and I think that's when they started gaining some ground.
Very good. All right, AJ, do you have a few more minutes for the VIP After Show?
Yeah, man.
Excellent. We'll answer more of your email questions. If we didn't get to your question on the phone lines, you still have a chance to email right now, PWTorchLivecast@gmail.com. On the other side of the music, we'll come back and exclusively for VIP members tackle some more subjects. I took notes during the interview. There's a few subjects I want to talk about and follow up on things AJ and the callers have discussed in the last hour and 10 minutes. So AJStylesOrg is the Twitter handle, @AJStylesOrg, and AJStyles.org is his website. And you can get up to date on his upcoming dates and merchandise and his career at that site. Anything else you want to mention, AJ, before we sign off on the livecast part of the show?
Man, I think you've got it. I think we've nailed everything so far.
Very good. Thanks to everybody for joining us once again. Monday, Bruce Mitchell and Travis Bryan will be hosting in the hour before Raw, so come back here live on Monday at PWTorchLivecast.com. You can listen to our archives at that web URL, PWTorchLivecast.com. And Gene Snitsky was Pat McNeil's guest on Wednesday's PW Torch Livecast, so check that out when you get a chance. And if you're looking for some discussion on current events, James Caldwell yesterday hosted solo and talked about the network, the Daniel Bryan angle at the end of Raw on Monday, and much more. So check out yesterday's show also. And, of course, as always, you can sign up for the Pro Wrestling Torch newsletter subscription or a VIP membership. Each are $99 a year, and you get a huge discount if you decide to bundle it and go for both. Get details on that, including a lower-priced monthly option, at pwtorch.com/govip. Until next time, Wade Keller signing off on the Livecast.